Part 142. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1411. Chapter 1411 Kenny's Sorrow for Heaven. Earth. Appa, your vision is really good. Look, you have a good figure and what you want. It's just that the front is a little too small. Compared with her, she is simply dwarfed and not on the same level at all. Appa. Come on, let's go say hello. Although Tianyuman was surprised, she happily pulled Kenny over. Enyil, who was looking at the bikini, didn't see Tianyuman and the others coming over. He was thinking about whether to buy it, and then looked down at his flat chest, which seemed to be empty even after wearing it. I have a good figure, but my are a bit small, and I don't feel like I have much in a bikini. Why? I have tried many ways to enlarge my naturally, but they just don't seem to get any bigger. Just when Enyil's troubled hair was about to fall out, someone suddenly jumped up to her side, and with lightning speed, he pinched her in front of her with both hands. Even the smallest one couldn't hold it. Enyil was so frightened by the molestation that she was about to attack the harasser, when a familiar laughter sounded in her ears. Oh! Why is my little Lele still so young? Tianyuman was like an old gangster at the moment, harassing Enyil, rubbing her hands dishonestly, and then jumped aside. Tianyuman, you bastard, you molested me, I won't chop you up if I don't do it. Enyil waved his hand roughly to attack Tianyuman, then he noticed a tall man standing next to him, and he recognized it immediately after taking a closer look. Isn't it Kenny Bryce? Hey! Mr. Bryce. Enyil put away his hand and looked at Kenny with burning eyes. What a handsome guy! He was so handsome. When she saw Kenny just now, she began to pity this handsome guy. After all, the Kenny in front of her was no ordinary person. Tianyuman looked at Enyil's slightly more ladylike posture, immediately covered her mouth with a smile, came to her side, and deliberately slapped Enyil hard. What, does Xiao Lele know my Kenny? He. There's something fishy. How could he not know the eldest son of the world's richest man? We've met several times, Enyil answered naturally, not noticing Tianyuman's ambiguous eyes at all, and looked at Kenny several times. The national male god, the dream lover of countless women around the world, how could he not know him? He, Tianyuman smiled slyly, looking at them with even more ambiguous eyes. Kenny coughed awkwardly at Tianyuman. He just said something casually at the time, but he didn't expect it to get out of control. How to deal with this? He was not familiar with Enyil, and was misunderstood by Xiao Daobi. Enyil didn't talk to him well. If he was found to have lied to her, would he be angry? Tianyuman blinked, looked at Kenny, then nodded clearly, moved closer to Kenny, and talked quietly. I understand, it doesn't look like Kenny has unrequited love. The two of them are still in the ambiguous period. Tianyuman took the initiative to make good excuses for the two of them, and the smile on her face became brighter. Especially the way Enyil looked at Kenny, she felt more and more funny. Tianyuman completely forgot at this moment that Enyil was Tangyu's suitor. He even misunderstood Enyil, who loved looking at handsome men. Seeing that Kenny was a handsome man and the son of the richest man that countless women liked, his eyes naturally became extremely hot. Kenny also sighed helplessly, seemingly not knowing whether to explain. Forget it, if you are misunderstood, be misunderstood. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1412. Chapter 1412 Love at First Sight 1. Xiao Lele Tianyuman held Enyil's arm affectionately. They had not contacted each other for a while. I think back when Tianyuman first met Enyil in London, she felt that this love rival was particularly annoying. After getting along for a long time, she found that he was a nice guy. The only shortcoming was that she liked Mr. Tang, who was her love rival. Enyil is also the only love rival that Jianyuman doesn't hate. Unlike other rivals who have all kinds of conspiracy, she is very open-minded, and she also maintains an attitude of admonishing her and Tangyuj to get back together. Ever since she found out that she and Mr. Tang were getting back together, this girl had been telling her that she wanted to move to a new target, and that she also wanted to find a handsome guy to love her. Of course, it would be better if it was Tangyuj. Unexpectedly, after not seeing her for more than half a year, she appeared in the country again and became a woman that Kenny Oba had some affection for. She likes Enyil very much, and Kenny Oba is her most beloved brother. If the two of them get together, it will definitely be the best result. She felt somewhat guilty that Kenny liked her but could not return the favor. If they were together. He. The matchmaker blood in Jianyuman's heart began to burn brightly, and she felt more and more that she had a chance to be a matchmaker. Since the two of them liked each other, she naturally wanted to give them a chance to get along. What are you doing? What do you mean by that expression? Enyil felt the conspiracy aura coming from Jianyuman and took a big step back away from her. Xiao Lele, I am so happy to see you, we haven't seen each other for a long time, let's have dinner together. Are you treating me? Otherwise I won't go. Enyil raised his eyebrows and raised his chin proudly. Jianyuman tilted her mouth and pointed at Kenny. You are so rich, yet you still need my treat to come to eat? There is a man here, so of course he is the treat. What a natural reason. It can show Kenny's richness, kill Kenny, and give them a chance to get along. What a wonderful idea. Hearing Kenny's treat, Enyil, as a senior foodie, swallowed his saliva and looked at Kenny with shining eyes. Mr. Bryce, can I pick a place? Of course. Kenny smiled and nodded. Then let's go to Yuzh's to eat in S City, where food is expensive and delicious. It's natural to choose the Royal Hotel. It's rare for someone to treat you, and it's the son of the richest man. Naturally, you have to choose the most expensive one. No problem. Kenny's answer made Enyil cheer happily and rush towards the destination with Jianyuman in his arms. Little fairy, hurry up, let's go early. I didn't even eat lunch. I didn't eat at noon today because I wanted to have a good meal at night. Enyil waved his arms happily, smiling so much that his eyes narrowed into slits. The three of them took a bus to the Dihao Hotel, not far from the shopping mall where they were. At this moment, Jianyuman completely forgot who she came with today, and completely forgot about Yang Yanliu. Jianyuman and others arrived at the Royal Hotel. When they entered the hotel, a certain man received a message from his subordinates that his wife had arrived and who she was with. Not long after Jianyuman and others sat down, her cell phone rang. The call had just been connected when a crashing roar came from the phone. Jianyuman, where are you? I'm going to collapse. Wang has been crying for my mother. I really can't take care of a child, Wang Tianyu felt aggrieved, and his roaring could tell how painful he was, and he could only shed tears. My birthday is coming soon. I'm going to Haikou for a trip. I'll get up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning to catch the flight. There won't be many updates tonight. I won't update more than once or twice. If it doesn't work, I'll make up for it tomorrow. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1413. Chapter 1413 Love at First Sight 2. Wang Tianyu felt aggrieved, and his roaring could tell how painful he was, and he could only shed tears. Why should he be so pitiful? He is a grown man who doesn't like children. Why should he be asked to take care of children every day? Originally, he was very dissatisfied with little Mickey. After all, Little Mickey was very well behaved. He didn't cry or make trouble. He could do his own thing. He just had to watch him and don't lose him. But Yang Yanliu's son was different. He was just an ordinary little boy who couldn't see his mother for a long time and was accompanied by the terrible uncle Wang Tianyue. On the surface, he was smiling and easy to get along with, but he accidentally angered Wang Tianyue and was glared at, scaring him so much that he cried for his mother. This cry made Wang Tianyue even more dissatisfied. He directly faced him and gave him a pause. This attack was out of control and the situation was completely out of control. He could only call Jian Yuman for help. I'm eating at Dihao, Lulu doesn't know what she's doing, so I'll call her and ask her. Jian Yuman immediately called Yang Yanliu, but no one answered. When she contacted Wang Tianyue again, she was informed that she would be arriving at Dihao soon. The final result was that Wang Tianyue also came to have a meal, and he brought two little ones with him. Jian Yuman asked Anil and Kenny to sit next to each other, and then he sat next to Anil, giving them a chance to get close to each other. They just talked about the current situation of Jian Yuman and Tang Yuj, and Jian Yuman smiled sweetly. We are on a good relationship and I believe our remarriage is not far away. Woohoo! My family Yuj was abducted by you like this, Anil hugged his little heart and looked at Jian Yuman's eyes with envy, but he was not jealous and disgusting. Ha ha ha, don't be afraid, sister, let me introduce you to someone. Look at Kenny next to you, the golden bachelor. Jian Yuman started to click on the Mandarin duck score, and Kenny smiled helplessly and did not answer. At this moment, it was better for him to remain silent. Anil turned to Kenny and began to appreciate it seriously. Mr. Bryce is better than Yuj, and he's even more handsome with his mixed-race face. Kenny was born with dignity. Just as she was about to say something more, someone came. With red eyes and a pitifully raised mouth, Xiao Wangwang was in the arms of the dark-faced Wang Tianyue, with little Mickey beside him. A big boy and two little ones walked in. Wang Tianyue started complaining as soon as he came in. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Take the child back, I'm going crazy, Wang Tianyue complained, sighing and forcing the child to Jian Yuman's side with disgust. Seeing that Jian Yuman finally met someone he knew, the beautiful aunt who loved to give him sweets, he immediately hugged her waist tightly and acted coquettishly. What Jian Yuman didn't see was that Anil, who was beside her, almost stared out of his eyes the moment Wang Tianyue entered the private room. His eyes were shining with a nymphomaniac expression. When Wang Tianyue came in with his two children, his gentle and jade-like temperament, coupled with his handsome appearance, and the beautiful picture of the two children, dropped a huge stone in Anil's heart. Completely unable to restrain her nymphomaniac nature, she turned to Wang Tianyue in a whirlwind manner. Wang Tianyue didn't notice Anil's expression and lay helplessly on the chair to exhale. Finally freed, Anil stood up suddenly, elegantly walked to the seat next to Wang Tianyue and sat down, her eyes always fixed on him. Mr. Right? Goddess. The Prince Charming in her heart. Reader's inner thoughts. Hold the grass. I thought Anil was going to be given to Kenny Appa, but it turned out that the little suddenly fell in love with someone else. Why are you so unscrupulous? Your Majesty, Marshal Bai, I didn't expect it. Ha 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 ha. Unexpectedly. I decided on the CP very early and decided to give it to God blessing when Anil appeared. Everyone, go to sleep. I took a shower and went to sleep. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1414. Chapter 1414 Love at First Sight 3. At this moment, Anil's heart is not at all calm. On the surface, she needs to be strong and reserved, her posture must be elegant, and her movements must be natural. She must not let the male laugh at her. Only. The way Anil looked at Wang Tianyue, most normal people could tell that she was a nymphomaniac. Even though her posture and expression were well disguised, her eyes could not be disguised at all. Wang Tianyu didn't even look at Enyil from beginning to end. He was still in a state of relaxed nerves and the pleasure of relief. Enyil sat next to him, and he discovered Enyil's existence. He glanced at it lightly, and then turned to the food on the table. Ah! There is something he likes to eat, and Manman is worthy of it. He is so considerate in many aspects, so touching. Enyil felt depressed at the moment. She had already sat next to him. Why didn't he talk to her? He was happily eating vegetables. Didn't he know that there was a stunning beauty sitting next to him? That's not true. Enyil's heart was unpredictable, but the expression and look on his face still pretended to be calm, showing what he thought was the most beautiful smile. You are Wang Tianyu. Wang Tianyu, who had a large piece of chicken drumstick stuffed in his mouth, finally turned his attention to Enyil, who was sitting next to him, and nodded while eating. Hello, my name is Enyil. Enyil stretched out his hand and introduced himself with a smile. Okay, Wang Tianyu responded with a chicken drumstick in his mouth, and just nodded lightly. At this moment, chicken drumsticks were more important than beautiful women in his heart. Enyil's hands froze in mid-air, and his mouth slightly pursed. How dare you ignore me? You really think I am a gentle lady? Nonsense. Brother Tianyu, didn't you have lunch? Enyil changed his policy and addressed Wang Tianyu by several levels. He even moved his chair a small inch next to him to bring them closer. No matter how stupid Wang Tianyu was, he finally understood. This woman looked at him with hot eyes, and even called him brother without fear of strangers. Wang Tianyu threw away the chicken bones, wiped his mouth, and smiled politely and warmly at Enyil. Sister, when did I become your brother? Just a minute ago. Enyil raised his eyebrows and smiled naturally, not feeling that there was anything wrong with his title. Wang Tianyu could only look at Enyil speechlessly. Wang Tianyu turned his eyes to Qian Yuman, and saw her looking at them with a shocked expression. What's up with her? What the hell? Looking at his friend Kenny again, he smiled softly but looked at Qian Yuman with very gentle eyes. What happened to the two of them? Something seemed off about the atmosphere. Based on his knowledge of Kenny for more than 10 years, there must be something wrong with him. Wang Tianyu was confused. Why were the people at this table so strange? Did he come to the Hungmen banquet? Brother, God bless you. Enyil moved, she moved. He actually reached out his hand affectionately and took Wang Tianyu's arm. If you have time later, would you like to watch a movie together? Wang Tianyu's eyebrows twitched imperceptibly, his mouth tilted and his body tilted to the side, and he slowly took his hand out of her arms. I don't like watching movies. How about a walk together? 100 steps after dinner, and you will live to be 99. Enyil was not discouraged and continued to make an appointment with Wang Tianyu. Wang Tianyu was speechless. This woman was a little too enthusiastic, although he had encountered this kind of thing a lot. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1415. Chapter 1415. I just love his jealous expression. 1. Wang Tianyu was speechless. This woman was a little too enthusiastic, although he had encountered this kind of thing a lot. But when we first met, just like Niu Tang, not many people took the initiative and boldly took action, especially looking at Enyil in front of him. He was pretty good looking and should have no worries about finding a partner. Why did he look at her like he was an nympho? Wang Tianyu doesn't understand, and he doesn't want to understand. Now he feels that he is really at a Hungmen banquet. He should leave the child to Qian Yuman and run away, instead of facing a table of men and women who are not feeling well. Brother Tianyu, if you don't answer, I'll treat it as if you agreed. Enyil smiled brightly and muttered while picking up food for himself. Let's eat quickly and go on a date for a walk later. He. Enyel was in a happy mood and happily served himself some food. If there was more, he put it into Wang Tianyu's bowl. Qian Yuman's expression was embarrassed, and she looked at Enyel's performance speechlessly. Just now I thought there was a possibility between her and Kenny, but I didn't expect this girl to change at will. Can you give her some mental preparation? What's the situation now? Is Enyel a playboy? Not long ago, I liked Mr. Tang, and I had the opportunity to develop a relationship with Kenny Appa. Now that I saw Tianyu for the first time, I was completely attached to him, and even used a more powerful attack than I was attached to Mr. Tang. Awesome, really awesome. At this moment, Qian Yuman couldn't help but suspect that the Enyel he knew was not thorough enough. Qian Yuman looked at Kenny Oba sympathetically. It seems that Appa will continue to be single. What should we do? She should not continue to look for good girls. Looking around at the girls around her, it seems that not many are worthy of him. Sure enough, the better the person, the harder it is to find a partner, which makes sense. After dinner, Enyel used her skills to stalk and drag Wang Tianyu away, and he was gone. Before leaving, Qian Yuman saw Wang Tianyu's eyes pleading for help. She could only maintain her sympathy and did not stop him. No matter who Enyel is with, at least it will solve the loneliness of one of the singles around her. There are so many singles around her that it takes several minutes to count them all. Kenny personally sent her and Mickey Mouse home, along with little Wang Wang. Little Wang Wang's mother was very willful and left her alone for the whole night. She didn't know what she was going to do, and she didn't explain. She just sent a text message asking Qian Yuman to help take care of the child for the whole night, and she would pick up the child tomorrow morning. She didn't ask much, but she could guess that Yang Yanliu and Tang Xingai were together. Even if they were not together, they were still related to Tang Xingai. There is a big problem between the man and woman who tasted the forbidden fruit. Let them solve it themselves. She can't control it for the time being. Qian Yuman returned to Mr. Tang's home holding a little guy by one hand. As soon as she got home, before she put down her bag, she saw Tang Yu sitting in the living room with his legs crossed and looking at her. What's going on with this serious and weird atmosphere? As a woman, Qian Yuman's intuition told her that something was wrong with Tang Yu, something very wrong, and that the crisis was approaching her. Mommy, I'll take Wang Wang to rest while you guys are busy. Little Mickey also noticed something was wrong in the atmosphere. Daddy's posture and Mommy's vigilant expression meant something was wrong. He immediately took Xiao Wang Wang and ran away, fearing that he would be implicated. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1416. Chapter 1416. I just love his jealous expression too. The adults fight, but the children stay in the room obediently. Of course, even if mommy outside is beaten again and begs for mercy, he won't stop her. Qian Yuman rolled her big and smart eyes, observing the surroundings, and then observing Mr. Tang's expression and eyes to make sure that he was waiting for her and looking at her, not someone else. Qian Yuman showed a bright smile, waved her hands in a pretentious manner, jumped and flew towards Tang Yu, and called him in a low voice. My dearest Mr. Tang, are you waiting for me to come back at home? Do you miss me? I miss you too. Qian Yuman jumped directly into Tang Yu's arms, throwing herself very hard, and directly pushed him who was sitting with his legs crossed. She threw herself on the sofa, and her hands snaked around his waist. With lightning speed, she kissed him the face, and then buried her little face in his chest. Qian Yuman's move is called preemptive strike. Before he gets angry, he should be captured first to make him happy. There is nothing wrong with that. Although she had no idea why he was waiting for her at home with his legs crossed. Tang Yuj, who felt a dull pain in his chest after being hit, suddenly started to complain about her. Have you gained weight recently? The implication is that she is overweight and it hurts him very much. Should she consider losing weight? Qian Yuman's bright smile froze on her face. When she heard Tang Yuz's words, her eyes popped out and she grinned in disbelief. Don't you know that women hate being called fat? You, what can you do to me? Qian Yuman raised her chin with such an imposing manner that it made people want to punch her. Tang Yuj was silent, with a somewhat indifferent expression on his face, just staring at Qian Yuman without speaking. His expression was a little cold at the moment. As they got along with each other in the past few days, his attitude towards her almost returned to half of what it was before. He would talk to her with a smile on his face, and he would also be considerate and caring about her, but it was nothing compared to when he was passionately in love in the past. He is basically a combined version of Brother Wang and Mr. Tang now, not the incarnation of the sugar baby he was when they were newly married. Without him acting coquettishly, acting cute and rogue to her, she still feels a little disappointed. Chasing your husband is a long journey. The sins you have committed must be swallowed with tears in your eyes. Qian Yuman didn't get up either, and lay in Tang Yuz's arms, rubbing against his chest like a poor puppy. Mr. Tang, what's wrong with you? Why are you so indifferent to me again? Did I do something wrong? You will definitely change it if you tell me. Qian Yuman had a sincere attitude, a coquettish tone, and looked at him with innocent eyes. You did nothing wrong. Tang Yuj gently pushed the person in his arms, but Qian Yuman refused to get up and insisted on hugging him. No, I must have done something wrong, you must tell me. You have not. Tang Yuj was still stubborn and said no in an indifferent tone. He had known Qian Yuman for so long, but there was no such look in his eyes. It was impossible to tell that he was unhappy at the moment. Qian Yuman stuffed her fingers into her mouth, tilted her head and began to review carefully. He was fine when he went out in the morning, but that happened after she went to find Lulu. He knew about eating with Liu. Is that because he met Kenny Obo later? She dined at the Royal Hotel with Tianyu and others, so he knew that she had met other men today who had not reported to him. Is he jealous? Qian Yuman thought about this, and instead of being annoyed, she showed a happy and sweet smile on her lips, feeling a little secretly happy. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1417. Chapter 1417. I just love his jealous expression for. With a smile on her lips, Qian Yuman threw herself into his arms first, stood on tiptoes, and explained softly in his ear. Mr. Tang, you and I made it clear to Kenny today. We will be friends from now on and will not have any other relationship. I will identify you as the only person in this life. Don't be afraid that I will run away. The intimate actions, whispering tone, and words of explanation are also a promise to him. It doesn't matter if he doesn't want or dare not get back together with her immediately. She can let time and actions prove her determination. This time she really trusts him unconditionally and wants him to understand her feelings. It will haunt him in this life and in the next life. In fact, men also need to be coaxed. Tang Yuz's current situation is that he needs Qian Yuman to coax him. The depression in my heart was dissipated by her series of intimate actions and love words. The expression on her face also became gentle because of her words, and when she looked at her head lying on her chest, her eyes became as tender as water. A deep sigh represents one's helplessness and joy in it. It seems that I am really stuck in her love network in this life and cannot extricate myself. The previous frustration did not make him completely let go of her. This annoying little goblin. That's it, that's all. This is the only way I can live my life. When a man makes a decision in his heart, he can't help but be arrogant, but he will not tell Qian Yuman what he has made in his heart. There is no way, Everyone has some little evil in their heart. When they see the woman they love doing a series of actions to please themselves. On the one hand, he was enjoying it and enjoying being pampered by his beloved woman. On the other hand, he wanted to teach her some profound lessons and let her know that Tanyu's temper was also very scary. Jianyuman, who was buried in his arms, felt the air pressure around her body change, and the smile on her lips became thicker. She raised her head and looked into his tender eyes, feeling dazed for a while. Oops, I was seduced by his beauty again. Monster. Mr. Tang, how about we create a sister for little Mickey together so that he can take care of her every day without having time to trouble us? Jianyuman raised her eyebrows, grinned, and said coquettishly. Mommy, I heard it all. A little guy with an ear on his back popped out from the corner and pointed at Jianyuman, his cheeks bulging in anger. Tanyu's eyebrows twitched imperceptibly a few times. As expected, like mother, like son. Although little Mickey has a serious and indifferent expression on the surface, there are still great similarities with his mother in his bones. For example, now. Whore, you kid is eavesdropping, get out of here, Jianyuman roared at the top of her lungs. The tigress posture frightened little Mickey and he immediately hid in the room and locked the door. Let's go on, Jianyuman grinned excitedly. Go back to your room. There are several children at home, so we still have to pay attention to the impact. Tanyu's mouth curled up, but he didn't make any immediate move. The bad taste came out again, and he wanted to see how she could take the initiative. Jianyuman held Tanyu's hand and walked towards the bedroom, her little face flushed with excitement. As soon as he entered the room, Jianyuman quickly turned around and closed the door. He slapped the door hard with one hand and pushed him against the door. However, he was not tall enough and his hand was tilted, which made him feel a little sore. Going out to play, see you in the evening. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1418. Chapter 1418 I just love his jealous expression 5. Tanyu's mouth curled up, but he didn't make any immediate move. The bad taste came out again, and he wanted to see how she could take the initiative. Jianyuman held Tanyu's hand and walked towards the bedroom, her little face flushed with excitement. As soon as she entered the room, Jianyuman quickly turned around and closed the door. She slammed the door with one hand and pushed him against the door. However, she was not tall enough and her hand was tilted, which made her feel a little sore. Mr. Tang, you will be my food tonight. Jianyuman smiled obscenely, looking at Tanyuj as if she were seeing a plate of delicious dishes, waiting for her to eat. Tanyuj, who was trapped, raised his eyebrows vaguely and deliberately made an expression of disinterest. An appetizer, are you sure? That's right. Today I'm going to eat you up and wipe you clean. There won't be any residue left. He Jianyuman curled up the corner of her mouth and smiled evilly. At the same time, she looked more like an old gangster, making people he wanted to throw her out, but he couldn't bear to let her go. Who gave her a face as beautiful as a flower? Okay, nothing to do, I'm going to bed. Someone's bad taste was not over yet, he waved his hand and wanted to leave. As soon as Jianyuman heard that he was going to sleep, she stopped immediately and slapped his other side hard with her other hand, completely trapping him between her arms. Don't even think about sleeping tonight, we're going to fight until dawn. Jianyuman smiled slyly, and her little expression looked a little scary. No matter how indifferent Tanyuj appears on the surface, he is actually very honest physically. Am I such a casual man? I don't want it. You sure? I am a serious person at this time. Tanyuj was still pretending to be serious, so Jianyuman followed him and pretended to be stupid, deliberately poking his face with her finger. Are you sure? Sure. Tanyuj raised the corners of his mouth and glanced at the little woman beside him like a little wildcat. Whether you are sure or not, I have made a decision today anyway. I will not be polite to you at all. You must have this awareness. Do you understand? Jian Yuman used her charm at this moment and began to seduce him crazily. She didn't believe it. How long can this man be a prude? How long can he stand it? Woman, if you do this again, I won't be polite. Tanyuj had a smile in his eyes, and he liked this mode of interaction. Jian Yuman felt proud for a while. Although she looked serious on the surface, she already had all kinds of thoughts in her heart. Mr. Tang, you didn't mean that I would take the initiative tonight. What are you doing? This little girl. Tanyuj is very depressed. He was not seduced by you. He can't control himself and wants to torture her. You little goblin, don't beg me later. You dare to seduce me. He has many ways to make her cry and beg for mercy, and he still has this ability. Come on, waiting. Jian Yuman naturally refused to admit defeat and even provoked Tanyuj. Every move she made was truly shocking. Tanyuj naturally had to use practical actions to tell her that men cannot be provoked. Early the next morning, Jian Yuman woke up sleepily and was awakened by the cry of her child. When she opened her eyes, Jian Yuman thought it was little Mickey crying. She also thought that her son had suddenly changed his gender and cried like a normal child. Jian Yuman, who had been tortured until midnight and didn't sleep until midnight, dragged his exhausted body out. When I entered the room, I saw Xiao Wang sitting on the floor in the living room and crying all the time. Love you guys. Moi. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1419. Chapter 1419. Father and son meet for the first time. 1. Early the next morning, Jian Yuman woke up drowsily and was awakened by the cry of her child. When she opened her eyes, Jian Yuman thought it was little Mickey crying. She also thought that her son had suddenly changed his gender and cried like a normal child. Jian Yuman, who had been tortured until midnight and didn't sleep until midnight, dragged his exhausted body out. When I entered the room, I saw Xiao Wang sitting on the floor in the living room and crying all the time. And little Mickey Irina stood aside awkwardly, a little at a loss. When she saw Jian Yuman coming, she looked at her mother innocently, and immediately ran over, as if she was seeing a savior, and quickly threw herself into Jian Yuman's arms. Mommy, you're finally here. Mickey is about to collapse. Did you make it? Little Mickey threw himself next to Jian Yuman, hugging Jian Yuman's thigh and burst into tears. However, he was pretending, and there were no tears at all. It's just a bluff to show how pathetic he is. What's wrong? Jian Yuman looked at little Mickey and asked. Little Mickey was also depressed and looked at Jian Yuman with reproachful eyes. Mommy, it's all your fault. Yesterday, I left my brother to take care of me, so I took care of him. He didn't fall asleep until I told him a bedtime story for a long time. It doesn't matter, but you clearly said that Aunt Liulia would be there today. Come pick Wang up, it's already 10 o'clock, why hasn't anyone come yet? Little Mickey is so depressed. He is only a 3-year-old child, why should he take care of a child who is several months younger than him? His heart almost collapsed. This is not bad. Little Wang didn't cry or make trouble last night. He just kept talking about missing his mother. With little Mickey coaxing him to sleep and holding his mother in his arms, little Wang fell asleep. After waking up in the morning, he had to supervise his younger brother to brush his teeth, wash his face and have breakfast. After breakfast, little Wang started to talk about why his mother was here, why his mother hadn't come yet, whether his mother didn't want little Wang, and a series of other random thoughts. Little Mickey could still try to stabilize little Wang Guang's emotions at first, but as time went by, he couldn't control it at all. Little Wang Wang couldn't see his mother, so he started crying and making trouble. There was nothing he could do. It's all because of unscrupulous parents who know they are happy and don't care about their children. After listening to little Mickey's explanation, Qian Yuman felt embarrassed for a while. She felt that she was sorry for her son, but she knew about her and Tangyu's affairs without even caring about their children. Because her son is unusually precocious, she almost forgets that her son is just a child. She seems to have gone too far. Qian Yuman covered her face, squatted down with a smile and touched her son's head with one hand to comfort her, while silently crying, "Xiao Wang Wang. Little Wang Wang, would you please call your mother?" Little Wang Wang raised his head and was still crying, but when he heard that he was going to call his mother, he controlled his emotions a little and didn't break down and cry all the time. "Do you want to call mommy?" After crying for too long, little Wang Wang couldn't control her breathing. "That's right," Qian Yuman smiled softly and took out her mobile phone and dialed Lulu. "Hey, Lulu, when will you come over?" Qian Yuman asked Lulu as soon as the phone was answered. "Ah, I'm on my way here, wait for me for a while." "Oh, don't be too anxious, come here slowly, safety first." "But your son has been crying, and he thought you didn't want him anymore, so talk to him on the phone and comfort him." End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1420. Chapter 1420. Father and son meet for the first time too. "Oh, don't be too anxious, come here slowly, safety first." "But your son has been crying, and he thought you didn't want him anymore, so talk to him on the phone and comfort him." "Teacher Qian, it's too much trouble for you, please help me give the phone to Xiao Wang Wang." Yang Yanliu kept thanking and apologizing. Qian Yuman handed the phone to Xiao Wang Wang, who kept staring at her with expectant expression, and she sighed helplessly. Little Wang Wang took the call and communicated with Yang Yanliu for a few words before turning from crying to laughing and nodded repeatedly. Then he gave the phone to Qian Yuman with satisfaction, and started playing with the transformers given to him by little Mickey. Feeling a little hungry, Tangyuj was still sleeping, and Qian Yuman wandered to the kitchen to get herself something to eat. The doorbell rang. Qian Yuman thought it was Yang Yanliu, so she shouted to little Mickey to open the door. Little Mickey put down the dream of red mansions in his hand, jumped off the underwater sofa and opened the door. Since they were not high enough, a small stool had to be moved underneath to see the person in the surveillance camera. "Why? Is it a man?" Little Mickey took a closer look and immediately recognized that this was not his third uncle. Biden Daddy's younger brother, a cold-faced third uncle with a paralyzed face. Little Mickey didn't think much and opened the door for Tang Xingai. Thinking that her mother was here, little Wang Wang rushed out happily. When she saw a figure, she rushed over without looking carefully, and knocked down Tang Xingai, who had a black face and came to see Tang Yuj. "Mom, you are finally here. Little Wang Wang misses you so much." Little Wang Wang had a bright smile on her little face, and she hugged Tang Xingai's thigh tightly. Xiao Wang Wang, who was hugging his thigh, tilted his head in confusion and raised his head. Because he found that his mother's thighs seemed to have become thicker, and how could she wear suit pants? When Xiao Wang Guang's eyes hit Tang Xingai's cold eyes with a hint of emotion, he was so frightened that he took a step back and fell to the ground, his body trembling. "This uncle is so scary." She looked at him as if she wanted to kill him. Tang Xingai looked expressionlessly at the little guy who just hugged his thigh and called his mother. The little guy looked small and cute, but calling him made him a little depressed, so he looked at the little guy a little more. Very cold. At this moment, Tang Xingai looked completely different from when he was a child. His eyes became cold. He didn't like others to get close to him, and he didn't like to talk. he was even more disgusted when he saw children. Ever since Yang Yanli ruthlessly took away the child, when he saw the child, he would think of the child he was too late to give birth to, which made him feel heartbroken when he saw the child, and he gradually became even more disgusted with the child. Little Mickey followed him unhurriedly and saw little Wang Wang being bullied by his third uncle. He was still sitting on the ground, trembling all over and with red eyes. He was obviously crawling to death, but he was so scared that he forgot to cry. Uncle Third. What are you doing? Little Mickey had a serious face and ran over quickly, helped little Wang Wang up on the ground, and glared at Tang Xingai reproachfully. Where did the child come from? Did the sister-in-law give birth to him secretly? Tang Xingai said with a dark face, and his words were colder than a 1,000-year glacier. Uncle, it's not funny at all. Mommy only has 2 children, me and Ruru. Little Mickey looked at the third uncle with facial paralysis with disdain. Can you look better? You scared Wang Wang. When he met a familiar person, little Wang Wang burst into tears and threw himself into his little brother's arms. End of this chapter.